Hi there, it's Jen Healy back with day 20 of this Fearless Challenge. And I wanted to talk about the process that I've gone through to go from breakdown to breakthrough in terms of understanding pain and illness and injury and those kind of things that happen in our lives and how we can overcome them. So it's been a whole journey, and I wanted to just share with you what my experience was. Of course, it might be different for someone else, but I have found that there is a direct connection between any sort of injury or illness that happens in the body and the messages that the body is giving us. So I go through this process of body mapping where I look at the timelines and the experiences that we're having and then interpret the meaning of that. Because in my opinion, there are some other books that do represent this, but this has just been my own personal journey, that I have noticed that my injuries, particularly with the knees and lower back, directly correlated to those circumstances in my life and experiences that were being held in the tissues. And so the body is a messenger and it's indicating alignment. And so if there's anything off in the mental, emotional space, anything that hasn't been processed, anything within the mindset that wants to be healed, it will show up as a physical injury or illness. And so this is an ongoing process of unwinding and releasing and transmuting those energies that get stuck in the tissues. We're literally like rings on a tree. All of our experiences are imprinted into our tissues. And then there tends to be like a buildup of charge. And if it doesn't get released because energy wants to move, then it winds up showing itself as some sort of imbalance. And so I wanted to go through with you my process of how I do this body mapping and what I've discovered, because it just turns out that my first knee injury happened exactly right after my mom left, and I was 14. And of course there's always a circumstance when I talk to my clients and I ask them like, oh, what happened? They always just describe the circumstance like, oh, I fell, or there was this accident, that kind of thing. Well, we want to look at beyond just the physical circumstances. We want to look towards what experiences were happening in life. And what I've mapped is that the knees represent stability. It's moving forward, standing on our own. It also has to do with our needs. So our knees represent our needs. And so Spirit has shown me there's a lot of play on words, like the kidneys, which govern the knees and the lower back in Chinese medicine, represent our kid needs. And so if any of the needs as a child weren't met around stability and being able to stand on our own and move forward, they usually will manifest as some sort of injury. And then we will just correlate it with whatever incident or circumstance was happening, instead of really understanding what is the body trying to tell us and to extract that meaning and come into better relationship of caring for ourselves. Because even if our needs weren't met by the outer world, as adults, it is our turn and it is our responsibility to meet those needs. And so when anyone comes to me, because of course I have become an expert with knees and lower backs, that's why I got involved with the healing arts in the first place, moving over from engineering and physics in that world, because I wanted to find a better way. Western medicine does have some good solutions, but not everything, especially understanding the mind-body-spirit connection and how important that is for all levels of our being to be integrated. So if somebody comes to me for a lower back problem, I remind them that the lower back is usually the past, or the back is the past, like we've pushed it to the back, and we want to bring it present and alchemize it in the present moment. It's never too late to work with these energies, release the charge, process the emotions, heal whatever trauma is there. It's never too late. And if we don't deal with it, it will get pushed to the back, and it usually shows up in the back. It can be neck, back, upper back, lower back. But the lower back is also connected to our second chakra and our pelvis. So it's anything having to do with home, job, relationships, finances. As you can see, it's a really big topic. It's a really big issue, and the pelvis is this large bowl of energy that holds a lot of our emotions that go unprocessed. And this can manifest in digestive issues, this can manifest in eating disorders, it can manifest as elimination or any problems with the colon. When I work with people that are having difficulties with their intestinal tract, then we really want to get into what we need to release, what needs to be released and processed. And I do that with many, many different practices, but cleansing is one of the best ways as well to release not only the physical buildup in the body, but the mental and emotional and spiritual energies that want to be processed. So I call it conscious cleansing. I do these cleansing programs on top of all these other practices that we can do. We can do movement, we can do talk therapy. There's so many ways for us to heal, and we have a plethora of tools within the therapy modalities and healing arts to choose from. That's why I have created a comprehensive healing program. We need to look at all of the areas and address from different perspectives what's going on, not just physically, but energetically. So I wanted to really share that process of body mapping and what I have discovered, because, you know, the lower back is such a hot topic, and I started after having my knee injuries and multiple ACL reconstructions and things like that at a very young age. Then, of course, my back went out, and so I was this young, healthy person with these physical limitations that, of course, showed up through exercise and sports and different athleticism. And these limits were showing me that I needed to manage my energy better. So I call my knees my energy managers, because if I'm trying to go too fast, it's like running away from something. If I'm pushing really hard, that pressure builds up in the system, and it particularly shows up in the nervous system. So growing up in Philly, I had a lot of trauma in my nervous system where I just couldn't relax. I'm still very jumpy. For those that know me, I'm always saying, don't sneak up on me, because I jump and hit the ceiling every time. But it is really important to know what our triggers are and what are the cues that show us which part of the bodies are out of balance and what they're really needing. What do they really want from us? How can we better take care of ourselves? So every illness and every trauma, every injury can heal once we get the message. And this is a personal journey. And I've gone back many, many times in iterations to look at my life and to look at what was going on then. Oh yeah, I was really accident prone and very clumsy when I was younger, but I was in an unsafe environment, and that was throwing off my alignment, throwing off my stability and my sense of balance. And so yeah, I had a lot of injuries as a child, as well as illnesses, mainly because the food that I was being fed, we ate a lot of frozen food and canned foods and things like that. It was not as conscious in the 80s and 90s, but now we have so many better choices to feed ourselves and to nourish ourselves so our body is getting enough nutrients so it can heal. So of course, I'm really big into superfoods and supplements, working with minerals, amino acids, and enzymes. And I have found that these are the conductors of the body. And when we super boost the body, it has extra energy for it to actually heal, instead of just trying to maintain or being like a low fuel tank, not having enough energy, which also comes from sleep and rest and all these other ways. You know, we have a plethora of ways that we need to take care of ourselves through hydration, through sunlight, as well as meditation. So there are a ton of tools. If anyone wants to do this body mapping and wants to see my process, I'm happy to share it. It is a personal journey where you have to extract the message and meaning. It's not just a cookie cutter formula, but what does it mean for you? And once we really deeply listen and we get in tune and in touch with the body, it certainly does get better. Because I can tell you, turning 50 this summer, I live pain-free. Like, I'm the healthiest I've ever been, and that is a complete miracle to me, especially having injuries starting at 14 and my lower back going out at 20, and then for 15 years figuring out how to heal my knees and my back. So they're still my energy managers. If I overdo it, I tend to overdo things. If I over exercise or overwork, these parts of my body will immediately give me a signal, because the nervous system will contract when there's too much pressure. And that nervous system relationship to our energetic body will then kind of pinch off or shut down or create tension and tightness. And you've probably noticed, I'm going to wrap it up in a second here, but this is a bit of a rant, but I'm very passionate about this, that everyone is running around, most people are running around, I should say, busy and stressed, tired. Every time I talk to someone, the first thing I say when I say, hi, how are you? Like, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so tired. And it's just like, we really want to pay attention to our language, pay attention to our mindset, pay attention if we're balancing our energy. I have this whole input-output equation to make sure the energy going out is being restored with the energy that's coming in, and we keep it all in balance. And that's super duper important. So it's not just what we do physically to release the injury. It's really about our mindset and our state of being, our story, our thoughts, and how we're living our life. Are we creating busyness because that's been kind of the socially acceptable way to live, especially with all this stress, all this pressure we're putting on the system? I'm seeing a lot of burnout and chronic fatigue and these different autoimmune issues coming up from that. So I also just want to welcome you to take some time, take some inventory to look at what wants to be processed, what has gone unhealed, what experiences are still wanting to reveal some gift or some message or some truth, and then it can be transmuted and released. So thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me share a little bit about my journey with different injuries that have led me to dedicate my life to the spiritual path and the healing arts, and to share this wisdom with you guys. And I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks again for listening. Aloha.